Hi Chestnuts, I'm just going to be doing a quick recap of the lesson that we've just done together in class. So remember we were discussing the three main functions of the skeleton and with a specific focus on joints. So we started off by reflecting on what part of the question that we were looking at and what bones in our body that we remembered. So if you just have a little think about what you remember, and that will link to how confident you feel about knowing your bones. So if I asked you to put yourself on the number line from 0 to 10, where would you put yourself? 10 meaning that you feel that you're really confident with all the bones that we looked at yesterday, whereas maybe a 5 would be you feel like you know maybe half of them, or you might put yourself at an 8 that you feel you're really confident with them but you want to learn a little bit more about how they keep us strong. Then I asked you to think about the values that we use to help us to become more confident in learning those bones. So we talked about being determined, about showing independence, so that if you know that you're struggling with something, to spend a little bit of extra time on it. Okay, and showing that leadership of taking control of your learning. So we discussed how we keep our body strong and healthy. And as a class, we thought about why it is that we have skeletons and what would happen if we didn't have one. Okay. And we then went on to talking about which bones protect our organs. So we were talking about our rib cage protecting our heart and our lungs. Okay, and you've got your pelvis there that protects things like your bladder, and your skull. I wonder if you can remember what we called the skull, the cranium, which protects your brain, which is a vital organ. There are other bones there that don't have any organs near them, so like your legs or your arms, your tibula, fibula, things like that are really important bones, but they don't have any organs that they protect. We then had a look at just have a little activity of matching up skeletons, and we discussed what they had in common. And then we were linking more to about how your body keeps strong. And we were talking about one of the functions of the skeleton is to support your body. Because what would happen if you had no bones in your body? Which part of the skeleton keeps you upright? So we were talking about the spine, okay, that lumbar vertebrae, and the fact that that helps keep us upright, doesn't it? But all the bones have a purpose in helping us day to day. Our main focus of the lesson was on joints, and it says without joints connecting our bones, we'd not be able to move the way that we do. We would not be able to bend, jump, skip, and that's just a few of the movements that we do. And that there are 3 different types of joints in the body. So you have ball and socket joints, which allow the most freedom of movement. One example in the human skeleton is between your pelvis, your hip, and your femur, which is your upper leg bone. We then had your hinge joints, and they allow flex and extend movements. One example in the human skeleton is between the humerus, which is your upper arm bone, and your radius or your ulna, which is your lower arm bones. Okay, and that's why we can bend at our elbow. And then gliding joints, which are also known as plane joints, and the bones are shaped to glide over one another and allow for small limited movements in different directions. So one example is in your wrist. Okay. We then went on to have a look at this website, and I've added the link to this website on Dojo, so you can use that to have learn a little bit more about them, anything that you feel that you need a little bit of a recap over. So your task, remember, was to answer these questions. What would our body be like without bones? List 3 types of joints and where you'd find them. And then in your table, I want you to tick the joints that are used during each of these movements. So you might need to get up, walk around, crawl around, nod, and have a think of which of your bones and which joints are used during each of these movements. Look forward to seeing your work later. Bye, Chestnuts.